Speaker.
Grant Robertson.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I learned a couple of things there. The first is that David Bennett's easily confused, and the second is that the National Party haven't decided what they're going to do on this bill yet, because he didn't say. He did not say, and so I think David Bennett's a leader in the National Party caucus. I think this is the time for him to step up and talk to his colleagues and assure this House that the National Party will be supporting this bill, because the only reasons he gave in opposition is effectively that he is easily confused. There is no inconsistency here. This is a bill about Kiwibank. This is a bill about what has now become an integral part of our banking system. That is an important part of what both now, I presume, the national government, I'll come back to that in a minute, and parties on this side of the House believe is an important role as part of our state-owned enterprise structure to have a presence in that banking system, to give New Zealanders the chance to be part of a New Zealand-owned bank, which has played a very important role in improving the customer experience in banking in New Zealand and giving New Zealanders that chance to know that their money is part of reinvesting itself into New Zealand. Mr. Speaker, the member who resumed his seat before me seems very confused about this bill and was worried about the impact on capital raising and regulatory meeting its regulatory requirements. Nothing in this bill affects that at all. The only time at which it would mean anything whatsoever would be if the government wanted to sell it. And that's the problem for the National Party, because in their heart of hearts, they've never liked Kiwibank, they've never wanted it to exist, and they would sell it if they could get away with it. That is the absolute truth about the National Party's attitude towards Kiwibank. It wasn't that long ago when Bill English, I think he was taped at a National Party conference somewhere, talking about the fact that Kiwibank wouldn't be able to sell it in the first term, but after that, all bets were off. And he was caught out. He was caught out telling the truth, Mr. Speaker. And he had to recant from that because the National Party knew New Zealanders wanted Kiwibank there. So this bill's necessary, if for nothing else, Mr. Speaker, because it means the National Party has to get up now and tell us if they really support Kiwibank. Because if they really support Kiwibank, if they've really disowned what Bill English wanted to do all those years ago, then they'll back this bill. Chris Bishop, I'll wager this, he's up next. I will wager this. He won't get up and say he's going to support the bill, but he won't say whether they're going to oppose it either. That's what I'll wager now, and I challenge him to do that, because if he says they're going to oppose it, if he says outright they're going to oppose this bill, then that's the signal New Zealanders know. It's on the block. Kiwibank's on the block to be sold by a national government. This is the chance for the National Party to stand up for an institution that has done good in our banking system that New Zealanders want to see in front of us. And Mr. Speaker, I have a fear that Chris Bishop won't do that he won't stand up and back Kiwibank, because National's in trouble. They've got through the Future Investment Fund, the money they made from the asset sales. They've spent it on fixing the Beehive roof and, no doubt the panel beating on Chris Bishop's car down in the basement. It's all been used up now because the Future Investment Fund was up for anything, was meant to be education and health, that's what we were told. Still money to be spent within the $1 billion on each, and they've spent it. They've exhausted the money. There's nothing left in the Future Investment Fund kitty, and now they're talking about capital recycling programs. Well, it's very, very possible, Mr. Speaker, that Kiwibank could be up for a bit of recycling under this national government. So this bill is the chance for the National Party to put all of that to bed, to say to New Zealanders, we believe that this is an important part of our infrastructure and banking, about what the New Zealand government believes is in the best interests of New Zealanders. And if they don't, it shows how out of touch they are with where New Zealanders are today. If they don't, it shows that this is still an agenda for the National Party. They've run out of money out of the Future Investment Fund. They know that they've got big capital needs in the future. There's going to be a lot more panel beating done on Chris Bishop's car if he's not careful. They have to find that money from somewhere. And unless they get up and tell us in this House that they support this bill, Mr. Speaker, we know that the National Party's agenda of selling Kiwibank is on the table. That's the challenge, Mr. Bishop.